You're listening to Soundside. I'm Libby Dankman. A brand new contemporary art space opened up last month in downtown Seattle. It's called Cannonball Arts, and we recently got a sneak preview.
Hey, we're moving? Oh my gosh, I'm really moving through the doors. It really feels like I'm going through these doors.
POV. I'm a doomed animal trying to escape a nightmarish car wash meets buzzsaw slaughterhouse. The virtual reality headset I'm wearing makes it look like I'm rushing through a cemetery and a grotesque grocery store. In the real world, IRL, my situation is also a bit bizarre. I'm sitting in what looks like a mini drop-top Hummer made of wood. It's hurtling me around an old theme park ride track under the fluorescent lights of a gigantic warehouse-style space in downtown Seattle.
And now it's all dark and there's eyeballs looking at me, and I'm going into what looks like a track with maybe signs of like nuclear work. Oh my gosh. Okay.
This ride or art exhibit, maybe ride-exhibit? It's called Monster, and it's sure to be a big draw at the new Cannonball Arts Center, which sits somewhere at the intersection of fine art gallery, event space, Saturday market, and interactive arcade. Monster, the ride-exhibit, is the brainchild of Brent Watanabe, a Seattle-based artist who specializes in computer-controlled installations.
A lot of my work deals a lot with very American consumer culture, the way that we treat nature, animals, that kind of thing. So I keep coming back to those themes time and time again. And so that was something I really wanted to do, continue to explore those themes and run people through those ideas where they experience it rather than read about it or look at it. So in a way, you're the animal being chopped up. You're going through that graveyard of consumer products.
Brent says he's always been a fan of what are known as dark rides in theme park speak.
Dark ride, if you think about like the haunted house at Disneyland, it's a ride that you get into a cart and the cart propels you through usually practical effects, so like mechanisms jumping out at you, that kind of thing.
Holograms.
Exactly, yeah. And with this, that was initially what I did propose, was building a full physical dark ride. But that's a super complex undertaking. Not that this hasn't been, but we decided to pivot to physical dark ride with a VR experience. So you'd have that experience of the cart going through a physical space, but the VR experience would be what you see, hear, and experience.
Brent Watanabe says his previous work on virtual reality experiences, including during a residency with Meta, helped lay the groundwork for him to create Monster.
But this is the first time I ever tried to do something that required coupling it with an actual physical presence. With something like this, where you can feel the mechanics of the cart shaking, you can feel the breeze on your face, you can hear when the cars are ramming into each other. It's using the dark ride as a medium, just like you might painting or sculpture or music, kind of taking what it does well and trying to heighten that.
In the future, Brent says the physical monster cars and track will be a framework for other artists to create in VR space, a blank canvas ready to fill.
There's something really exciting about the idea that I may come back in 6 months, get to ride this, and it'll be something completely new and different.
That kind of fluidity is a key aspect of the Cannonball Arts experience. The space features large mural walls designed to be painted over with new works, a concert venue downstairs that could be a dance club one night or a culinary pop-up the next day, and a digital photography exhibit that entices attendees to submit images by offering them prize money. Much of the art is designed to change from one visit to the next.
It's the beginning of a great adventure, and like a living organism, I expect Cannonball to change and adapt and grow and become something that I have no idea what it finally will become.
The creators of Cannonball Arts are New Rising Sun, the production company that took over Bumbershoot in 2023. Cannonball itself is a B Corp, a for-profit entity that has been certified for its focus on a public-serving mission. Alongside a nonprofit partner organization, the financial model for the space will rely on sponsorships, ticket sales, and philanthropic gifts. Greg Lundgren is creative director. He did his best to explain what exactly is going on here.
It's a hard one to describe because it isn't exactly a museum. It isn't exactly a gallery. It isn't exactly an amusement park or a state fair or an art fair or a nightclub, but it's kind of trying to take the best of all those parts and reconstitute them in a way that feels genuine.
Lundgren says the goal with Cannonball is to nurture burgeoning talent and give artists a space to experiment and explore. He says he also wants to change notions of what constitutes fine art.
It is about drawing a larger circle around what we qualify as our art community, so it's not just painters and sculptors and filmmakers, but it includes fashion designers and chefs and music and ice carvers and canoe carvers, and there's so many creative disciplines that don't get celebrated or that don't participate in the contemporary art world that I think are really worthy of recognizing and elevating.
Greg says making Cannonball into a reality took building strategic partnerships both within the city and with community groups like the Muckleshoot Tribe, which provided funding. The tribe also put an unmistakable stamp on the entrance to the facility. An enormous mural greets us as we walk through the front door, bright red with sharp graphic lines of indigenous Coast Salish artwork. To one side, native artisans will slowly carve out a 5,000-pound cedar log. Visitors will be able to watch while they transform the tree into a canoe. Further in, on the main floor, there's artwork from local artists that's all for sale.
This is our center gallery, which is designed to be kind of a snapshot of Pacific Northwest contemporary art, whether that's photography, painting, sculpture. It's our most formal gallery. Everything else gets a little bit weird from there.
Weird is a big part of the vision for Cannonball Arts. There's a sculpture garden set within an indoor pocket park made of fake trees and silk flowers, complete with a pond for floating works. A 75-foot-long moving whale skeleton formed with silk and wire. And a former mechanical bull, now an electric pink 10-foot-long nudibranch sea creature that visitors can ride. But I gotta say, one of the weirdest things about this 66,000 square foot space is knowing that it used to be a Bed Bath & Beyond. For Lundgren and his team, though, this was a hidden gem.
There's not a lot of spaces this size in the heart of downtown Seattle that are not being activated. I think that I looked at the Macy's building for a hot minute, and it considered that as a potential.
Before Uniqlo went in?
Before Uniqlo, yeah. And so I think it's just one of those things that you do. You kind of walk through the city with a different lens. And I think that there's the flirting with the building where you just go, oh, I could do something there. And
it was important to New Rising Sun that the Arts Center be located downtown to contribute towards revitalization. But transforming such a big building into an art space had unique and pricey challenges. Things like having to add bathrooms to bring it up to code. They added 23, which function as exhibition spaces designed by local artists. Lundgren says it was the single highest line item on their budget.
When you start talking about like $500,000 for bathrooms, that's a deal killer for a lot of people.
It's an investment into art and artists beyond those that are featured inside the building. Lundgren says the Pacific Northwest is full of creative talent, which could disappear if it isn't recognized and developed. And to him, seeing that talent leave would be more than a shame. It would be self-destructive.
The best thing a city can do is set in place structures and systems that grow your art community. So to be a metric of Seattle getting to be a better city is that there's more artists here next year than this year. If it's going the other direction, any city would be in decline if its population of artists is decreasing.
Cannonball is meant to provide a big palette for that community. But Lundgren says this is a big risk. He's fully aware the venture could fail.
I would love to find a way that we could be sustainable, that we can pay artists well, that we can pay staff well, that we can afford more expensive and more elaborate installations and exhibitions. So you have to be super optimistic. You have to be a little bit masochistic. You have to be willing to work hard and know that there's no promise that any of it's going to work.
They've got a lease on the building for at least 6 years. After that, Lundgren says the owner could decide to tear it down to make room for a high-rise. Then again, this gamble, it could pay off, and Cannonball Arts Center could become a mainstay destination for tourists and Pacific Northwest locals alike. And that means repeat customers.
You have to look at museums and say what's right about them and what's not so right about them. What parts work, what parts are exciting, and what parts need to evolve. I'm probably maybe embarrassed to say that I go to the local Seattle Art Museum maybe twice a year. I want an art center that you go to once or twice a week. So, how do you change that? And I think that part of how you change that is you do different programming every single day.
Cannonball Arts is now officially open, and patrons can visit from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. Wednesday through Sunday. Regular tickets are $29.50 a pop, with discounts for seniors and students. Kids under 12 are free. Visit cannonballarts.com for more info. And this story first aired last month in August. Thanks for listening to Soundside. By the way, this show is only possible because listeners support us. If you are able to give right now, check out the show notes for a link to donate. And don't forget, you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 FM Seattle at noon and 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, or anytime online at KUOW.org.